So you hired someone, you showed them around the place, you answered their questions for a few days, and then you let them go to figure it out. They should have the initiative to figure out what they're supposed to do, right? And now they're coming to you with more and more questions every day. And even worse, they're starting to make decisions on their own that is costing you customers and costing you profit and costing you revenue. And now you're frustrated because they are not doing what you expected and what you wanted out of them. But here's the hard truth. There's an 80% chance that this is happening because of you, not because of them and their capabilities. If you don't have a real training system in your business, you're setting up every new hire for failure. Today, I'm going to show you step by step how to train someone effectively so that in the end, you have a successful, happy employee. By the way, I'm Abby Johnson with Matterhorn Business Development. I've worked with business owners in over 50 different industries to help them increase their profit, reclaim their time, and build a business that runs without them. I have seen employee training go wrong in every way imaginable. I've seen training that is non-existent, that is way too disorganized, that's way too overwhelming. It all ends with the same thing, which is the employee either quitting or you getting frustrated with their performance and firing them. But at the end of the day, it may not have been the person. Maybe they were in the right role. Maybe they were a great hire, but you didn't provide them with the tools to help them succeed. So the first thing I want you to do is list out every single task for the role that you are hiring for. And I mean every single task. Don't leave anything out. Everything from small to big, from hard to easy, put it all down in one document. Then I want you to arrange those tasks from easiest to hardest. What takes the most skill to do and execute on from this list of tasks? Now you're going to break up these tasks into levels. So you're going to have level 1, level 2, level 3 of this particular role. Let's say you're hiring a front desk person. Maybe level 1 for front desk is they are just handling papers, greeting customers or patients, showing them to their room, sending out mailers, something simple like that. And then level 2 is maybe where they're actually answering the phones, answering more questions, doing a little more customer support, making sure new leads get responded to. And then a level 3 receptionist would be kind of like your lead top senior receptionist. Maybe they are able to train other people below them. They usually have been there longer and just kind of know everything about the company, like the back of their hand. So now they're able to oversee that whole reception area. This obviously really easily translates into a technical delivery type position. So let's say you have an HVAC technician. A level 1 is maybe someone with no formal training. They are a helper on jobs. They're helping load up the van, unload the van, get the right tools and parts pulled and handed to the techs. They're kind of a runner helper type role. A level 2 technician is maybe someone who's actually working on the equipment, actually doing installs or diagnosing or whatever that may be. Level 3 would probably again be that lead position where they are leading that crew. Even if the crew is only 2 or 3 people, they are the lead. They are handling that project or job and making sure everything goes smoothly. And maybe they're able to handle more complex problems or training people below them. These levels are super important for 2 reasons. First, you now have a clear path for your employees. You have a career path. You have set out a future for them and you have set milestones of how to excel and grow in this business. If you want to be level 2, you need to learn and be able to execute on XYZ tasks. The second reason this is great is you can tie pay raises to these levels. So instead of I've been here for a year, I deserve a raise, it's I have now learned more skills, I'm doing more in the company, giving back to the company, and therefore they are earning that raise. All right, before you build those training tiers, you do need to know what you can actually afford to pay people. If you're not sure of where your numbers stand, I want you to click below and download our free cash map. This is going to show you exactly where your numbers fall right now versus where they should be, and this is going to help you decide exactly how much you can afford to pay someone. So click the link below and download our free cash map now. So now that you have your levels worked out, the second thing I want you to do is to start with your actual training materials for these levels. I highly recommend using video as much as possible. People retain video longer, it holds their attention, and especially with computer technology heavy positions, it's so much easier for someone to watch a video than having to write out a document that says click here and click there. Believe me, I did that back in my day when I was a youngster and I was creating training materials. We didn't have Loom or Zoom, or even making screenshots was kind of hard on a Windows computer, but I did figure out how to make screenshots and put it into a Word doc, and I felt very fancy for that. But my job was almost 100% on the computer, so I was making the most boring training materials of go here, click this box, hit save, go to the next page. It was so boring to create, but also probably very boring to consume. Video is much quicker to put together rather than hours of putting a Word document together. It takes a few minutes just to hit record. Even if this is a technical position where they're on their feet, they're doing something, they're not at a computer, you can still video certain things. You're going to probably repeat yourself over and over every time you hire a new technician. So I would make videos on those specific things. Hey, at the beginning of every job, we do XYZ, and that's what this looks like. Hey, if you see this light up, that's what this means. Whatever it may be, having those videos on hand is going to save you time in your training, but it also serves as reference material. If someone is learning their position and they mess up, you can always say, hey, go back and watch this video. They also can go watch that video instead of coming to you for questions. Not, hey boss, how do I process a refund? All they have to do is go watch the video on how to process a refund. Another tip on training materials is make sure you include the why and the purpose behind the position and behind certain tasks. I learned this the hard way, that if you don't tell someone something, they are going to fill the gap themselves. I once had someone helping me. I had him sorting papers. Some of them needed to be shredded. Some of them needed to be filed. I didn't give him specific instructions, and he chose to shred a pile of paper that was not supposed to be shredded. This really happened, and I almost had a heart attack. Luckily, we had backup copies and were able to come up with a solution. But my point is that I should have explicitly told him why certain ones were being shredded and what to do with this unnamed pile of papers. Now, he should have also not assumed to shred the papers, but it is important to take responsibility when you are training someone. All of that to say, you do need to explain the why behind certain things. Let's say you have a receptionist and you say, okay, every time you answer, you need to say, this is ABC Company, Tampa Bay, Florida. How can I help you? And if you don't tell them why you have to say Tampa Bay, Florida, they might drop that out. I have seen this happen. It's like, oh, well, that doesn't make sense. I'm just going to say this is ABC Company. How can I help you? And then they don't follow your instructions because they think they know better. But if you say, hey, make sure you always say Tampa Bay because there is also a Sarasota ABC Company that we are not affiliated with, and people get us mixed up all the time. And now that receptionist is going to know, okay, that's why I have to say Tampa Bay all the time. So that's a silly little example, but I'm sure there's a time when an employee did something and you were like, why would you do that? But if you rewind yourself, you'll probably go and see that you didn't tell them explicitly why they had to do things a certain way. This is why people make up things, is because the information was not there for them, so they put it there for themselves. All right, step number 3 in this training process is to have a good organization system for all of these training materials. I've seen some people who make great training materials, they're very detailed, but everything is just dumped in a Google Drive folder and it feels very overwhelming to look at. If you just send that folder to an employee and say, here, watch everything, it can feel very overwhelming. So you need one master place where everything lives. So this could be as simple as a checklist in a Google Doc where you link out to the exact videos in an exact order, or there are tons of great softwares out there where you can house all of your training. Regardless of where you store this information, the goal is that you can just send one place to a new hire and they can sit down from day one and know exactly what they need to do to get through their training. So as long as you have your training tiers, your training materials, and an organized place to store everything, this is how you're going to set up an employee to succeed and also not need to come to you 50 times a day asking questions. Training your team is one of the best investments you can make in your business. But before you hire, you need to know what you can afford to pay someone. This is why we created our free cash map. Click the link below to download today. You're going to be able to plug in your numbers and see where your money is going now versus where it should be going so that every new hire you make can be a profitable one. Let's get your team running without you. I'll see you in the next video.